Title: The Good Samaritan and the Hidden Curse. Kuchi was a vibrant young woman of 30, known for her exceptional beauty and kindness. She lived in a small, close-knit community where people admired her not only for her outward grace but also for her willingness to help others in need. Her friends and neighbors often referred to her as the Good Samaritan because of her habit of stepping in to assist strangers, regardless of who they were or where they came from. One sunny afternoon, Kuchi was on her way to the market to buy some groceries. As she walked along the dusty path, she noticed a woman struggling to adjust the head of the baby she was carrying on her back. The woman seemed tired and distracted. And Kuchi, ever observant, quickly noticed that the baby's head wasn't well positioned. "Excuse me, ma'am," Kuchi called out, her voice filled with gentle concern. "Your baby's head doesn't look comfortable. May I help you fix it?" The woman turned around slowly, her face hidden under a large scarf. She seemed hesitant at first, but then she nodded, mumbling, "Please, help me." Kuchi carefully adjusted the baby's head, gently repositioning it to provide better support. As she did so, she felt an odd sensation. A chill ran down her spine. When she looked up to ask the woman if everything was alright, the woman had vanished. Kuchi blinked in surprise, looking around, but there was no trace of her. The street was quiet, almost eerily so, with only the occasional bird chirping in the distance. Confused and a bit unsettled, Kuchi held onto the baby, hoping the woman would reappear. She waited for hours, sitting on a nearby bench with the infant in her arms, but the mother never came back. As night began to fall, she grew increasingly anxious, not knowing what to do. She finally decided to leave the baby carefully on the ground where she had first seen the woman, hoping that the mother would return and find her child. When she got back home, she felt exhausted and shaken by the strange encounter. But as she opened the door, her heart skipped a beat. There, standing in her living room, was the same woman, and she was holding the baby. The woman's gaze was sharp, piercing, and filled with something unsettling. "Good Samaritan," she said in a low, chilling voice. "If I return and find that my baby has not been well taken care of, I will show you why I am called Kikuyu." Kuchi shivered at the threat. The woman's presence felt overwhelming, as if a shadow had fallen over the entire room. Before she could respond, the woman and her child vanished, leaving an unnatural silence in the house. From that day onward, Kuchi's life changed drastically. Kikuyu's ghostly presence followed her everywhere. Anytime she went about her daily tasks, Kikuyu would appear, looming over her, watching her with a cold and judgmental gaze. Whenever Kuchi tried to relax or take a moment for herself, Kikuyu would whisper commands and warnings. Even in the most private moments, when Kuchi went to the bathroom or tried to sleep, the figure of Kikuyu would appear, reminding her to care for the baby. Fear and exhaustion took their toll on Kuchi. Her once joyful and generous spirit was replaced by anxiety and despair. She became so paranoid that she stopped helping others, afraid that any act of kindness might bring further curses upon her. Despite her best efforts to care for the mysterious baby that seemed to haunt her every step, Kikuyu's torment only grew worse. The relentless apparition started to push her mind to the edge, whispering in her ear, filling her dreams with darkness. Eventually, Kuchi's mental state began to deteriorate. She would wander the streets, disheveled and muttering to herself. People who once admired her now avoided her, confused and concerned by her drastic change. She even ended up in a dusty corner of the town's marketplace, sitting among discarded garbage and food scraps, lost and alone, her mind fractured by the supernatural torment she had endured. But news of her situation reached some of the people she had helped over the years. They couldn't bear to see her suffering like this. Remembering her kindness, they banded together to find a solution. They approached a respected, anointed man of God, asking him to pray for Kuchi and to find the cause of her affliction. The man of God, filled with compassion, agreed to help. He gathered the community and went to where Kuchi was sitting, hunched over in the dustbin. As he prayed for her, he suddenly received a vision from the Lord, revealing a hidden truth about Kuchi's past. In his vision, the man of God saw a horrific scene from generations past. Kuchi's forefathers had made a grave mistake, a sin that had cursed their lineage. They had sacrificed a pregnant woman to their gods, burying her alive as part of an ancient ritual meant to bring prosperity and power to their family. The woman's spirit, unable to find peace, had returned to haunt her descendants, seeking vengeance for the injustice done to her and her unborn child. The man of God spoke to the people, revealing what he had seen. This spirit of vengeance has returned to punish Kuchi because of the sins of her ancestors. Her kindness and willingness to help others drew the spirit to her, for she represented all that her forefathers had tried to destroy: innocence, compassion, and love. The crowd gasped, horrified by the revelation. But the man of God did not stop there. He prayed fervently, invoking the name of the Lord to break the chains of the past and to free Kuchi from the grip of this malevolent spirit. As he prayed, Kuchi felt a warmth filling her heart. Slowly, her mind began to clear, the darkness lifting as the spirit of Kikuyu was banished. She looked around, dazed and disoriented, but finally at peace. The people who had gathered cheered and praised God for her deliverance. The man of God, sensing the confusion and fear in the hearts of the crowd, turned to them and offered words of wisdom. Let this be a lesson for all of us. Helping others is not a curse, nor should it be feared. But we must also remember that there are spiritual realms we do not fully understand. We should seek God's guidance in all things, and trust in His protection, for He is our refuge. He quoted Psalm 91 verses 2-3, saying, I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and the deadly pestilence. The people nodded, feeling comforted by the words of Scripture. As Kuchi regained her strength and peace of mind, she began to understand that her ordeal had been a test of her faith and a lesson in the hidden consequences of actions, even those committed long ago. She learned to approach her kindness with wisdom and prayer. Knowing that God's protection was her ultimate safeguard, in the end, Kuchi resumed her role as the Good Samaritan of her community, but with a newfound strength and faith that guided her every step. The people admired her even more, and her story became a reminder to all that, while kindness is always worth pursuing, true safety and peace come only from trusting in the Lord.
Golden light sifting through the clouds, angels singing, voices ever loud, hearts lifted in celestial song. To you, the holy, we belong. Echoes of faith across the sea, love's embrace sets us free. In every heart, a sacred tune, beneath the sun, beneath the moon. Raise your voice, let it ring. Hallelujah to the King. Hosanna in the highest skies. In your glory our spirits rise. Every dawn and every night, guided by your gracious light, grace abounds and hope remains. In your name